Hello Sioux Falls and welcome to Planning Preview for the month of October. My name is Jason Bieber with the Planning Office at the City of Sioux Falls, and joining me is a special guest this month. It's Karla Resendiz from the current Planning Office. She has agreed to actually do what our Planning Commission chair does this month. He was unavailable to come, so I said, hey, let's have Karla come and talk about some of these items. So thanks so much for being on the show at short notice.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's get right into this. I'll ask you, talk a little bit about these items. Just let me know what's going on here. So first one here looks like we got a conditional use, looks like an on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment at 921 East 8th Street. Look, that's kind of east of the Bishop Dudley, kind of getting more towards Cliff. I know there's some sensitive land use, single family and stuff adjacent to it. So what are they looking to do here?
Yeah, you got that right. Because of the single family homes within 500 feet of the sensitive use being the alcoholic on sale beverage establishment, then they would be required the conditional use permit. And this address is actually closer on 8th and Fairfax.
8th and Fairfax?
Yep.
And I think this is the location. I think it was just recently a yoga studio, but it's been several bars, jazz clubs over the past 10, 15 years. So it's not really a new location for beer, wine establishment, essentially, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And then the next one we got here looks like it's rezoning from single family suburban district to what we call the single family residential traditional district at 209 East 34th Street. I think this is on 34th Street, just 1 or 2 blocks east of Phillips Avenue, correct?
Yep.
What's going on at this particular property?
So this second case is around the corner of 33rd and Phillips. The lot frontage is less than 50 feet, so then that triggers them to move into the traditional land use of the single family home zoning type. And then the applicant is working on replatting the lot, and with that they are going to need to provide an updated utility plan.
To do it, and I think that's important to note. This is one lot currently, and it's a pretty large lot on a cul-de-sac. And what the applicant is looking to do, correct, is actually plat his house off and then create a new lot for a new single-family home.
Right, a new single-family home. So the lot is, like I said, smaller, about 33 feet wide. So then that would need different setbacks.
And that's just on the cul-de-sac. The lot in question, I think I looked, and it's a relatively big lot. It's just the frontage on 34th Street is small, and that's why we have to rezone it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looks like that's about all we got this month. So pretty easy month for you guys. But thanks a lot for coming on and kind of going through these at last minute with me.
Thank you.
And stay tuned, Sioux Falls. After the break, we'll have Maria with the future planning team stopping by to talk about the comprehensive plan and kind of give us an update of where they are in the public engagement process.
Hey, this is Seth and I work for the City of Sioux Falls in the Housing Division. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about gutters and why it's important to make sure that your gutters are clean going into the winter. I know right now it looks nice and sunny and warm, but real soon, as we all know, it's going to get cold and water's going to freeze. And so if you see this gutter right here is full of leaves and even has a little bit of dirt. That dirt is actually leaves that have decomposed into dirt. And so if that's left long enough, you'll actually get vegetation growing out of your gutters. And that's a really bad thing for a couple reasons. Water can build up and actually sag your gutters if they're plugged, and it changes the slope of the gutter. So it no longer pushes the water down to the downspout and out. It actually gets into a little sag in the middle of the gutter, and it'll actually tear your gutter off, or your gutter will come off because of that. Also, another great reason to clean your gutters is simply just to keep up on your home. So when your gutters fill up, they can no longer direct the water down into the downspout, and it goes directly over straight down into what we would call the drip line of the foundation, which is about 1 foot or 2 away from your foundation. This actually causes a lot of issues in basements. One of the biggest issues we have in our single family rehab is basements that are cracking, water coming in, just a lot of foundation issues. And that's oftentimes caused by just clogged gutters. So water goes down to the drip line, saturates that soil, and then winter comes, it freezes. We all know ice expands. When it freezes, puts pressure on the foundation and starts cracking up your home. One last thing with gutters I'd like to explain to you is when they get plugged up, they actually cause the water to back up into the roof. And if you've heard of ice dams on your roof, oftentimes it starts with your gutter. And so water freezes in your gutter and ice above the gutter melts. And somewhere in the middle, there's water that is just sitting there that can't get out down the roof. And so you have a couple layers of ice and water that the contractors have to put on your home. The first two, about 6 feet, is ice and water. That gives you a little protection, but ultimately with standing water, you're gonna have water coming into the roof, down and into your home, and then you're gonna have a lot of issues. So ultimately, keeping your gutters clean is a really important thing to do to your home. It's pretty simple. If you can just climb up on usually a 6 or 8 foot ladder is plenty big enough. Grab some handfuls and clean it out. And if you can't get up on a ladder, paying somebody to do this is worth it. Thanks for watching today's Home Maintenance Minute.
Welcome back to Planning Preview for the month of October. Joining me now is Maria Lancto, who's an urban planner with the City of Sioux Falls Planning Department, and she's going to talk a little bit, right, about the comprehensive plan that you guys are going to be working on over the next, well, probably it's a year now. It was 18 months when it started.
Yeah, exactly. 18-month-long process. We started last spring, and we've been doing different engagement activities throughout the summer, and just continuing to do that.
Yeah, and I had Fletcher on, I think probably the spring, right, when maybe you guys were starting. But I wanted to get you back on not only to kind of discuss where you are in the process, but to continue to get the word out there on how residents of Sioux Falls can get involved in the comprehensive plan over the next year or so and really provide valuable feedback that shapes kind of how the city's going to look for the next, what, 26 years, 25 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. The plan is looking out to the year 2050 at this point. Obviously, that's where we're looking out to, but this plan will guide decisions that we're making even today. Since you talked to Fletcher, we've hired our consultant, so we're working with Confluence, which is a Midwest group, and they've got local presence here, and just been doing various engagement activities. So we started out with doing 6 different pop-up events throughout the city. We went to the farmers markets here in town, both at Falls Park and at Lake Lorraine.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we went to Riverfest. That was a really good one. We've also been to, we went to Touch a Truck. And then we've done a couple different Levitt events as well.
Yeah, and I think that was great. That was one of the things that I like that you guys did, is those engagements, not only, downtown, but you did the Lake Lorraine farmers market. You did Touch a Truck, where you get kind of a younger crowd, which is fun for them, especially with the coloring contest. I know I personally worked the farmers market downtown, which was great. It's fun to engage a bunch of different people, and even getting people from outside of the community that actually wanted to provide feedback that we saw there. So
yeah, that was one of the cool things I thought working at different pop-up events, was seeing people who don't necessarily live in Sioux Falls, or they just moved to the community, and asking, what brought you here and what's going to keep you here, and what are the things that you like about the city. Yeah,
absolutely. That we heard a lot of good things, obviously, about the city from those people that are kind of moved here, and or we got to experience a lot of people, actually, because we did it the Saturday before the Sioux Falls Marathon, so there's a lot of people down there that came for the Sioux Falls Marathon, and so that was interesting engaging with them. But those were great events, and like I said, it's nice to be able to get people in the morning, which is typically an older crowd, and then you had the Levitt concerts, and then you had Riverfest, so you get kind of the entire gambit of people.
Yeah, exactly. I think oftentimes with different engagement activities, you do get maybe the older demographic. And so that was fun, also incorporating the coloring competition into this, and being able to engage kids in that way. And part of that was asking what their favorite thing about Sioux Falls was. And it's really not that much different from adults. They like community gathering spaces, their schools, their restaurants.
And absolutely. What would be a couple things that maybe, because I know when we worked it and when you guys did, you guys you put Post-it notes on different things. What are things like some common themes that you heard from people over those kind of 5 or 6 events that you did?
Yeah, so we asked people what their favorite things were about Sioux Falls, one word they would use to describe Sioux Falls, and got some fun feedback there, but then we tried to dig in a little bit deeper and ask questions, what are we missing that would make Sioux Falls an even better community? Things we heard there, we heard affordable housing, which we kind of anticipated to get that comment. And we heard a lot about neighborhood trails, getting green space at that neighborhood level. And then, of course, just more places for people to gather.
Like Trader Joe's, did you hear that? Like
we
90
heard
times?
Trader Joe's. We heard Cheesecake Factory.
I heard those.
Some of these, we knew.
Yeah, we want those. We want those. Yeah, so that's great getting those things, and you kind of can take that input and then kind of build that into the plans.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've kind of finished up your pop-up events, and I know I think you've done 2 and maybe more, but those are what I think you guys are calling, or what Confluence is calling, listening sessions, correct? And tell us a little bit about what those are and what they're doing.
Yeah, that was led by Confluence. They did 2 listening sessions at a couple different libraries here in town. And during that event, they presented on what a comprehensive plan is, why people should care about it, and then they went into a SWOT analysis, so looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and was able to discuss with community members who had attended in that way. Those are done now, but then we'll use that feedback as we start creating our survey that we'll send out to the residents.
So the survey that's based on that feedback, is that go through emails or go on the website or go mailings, or how are you planning to get that kind of out for people to do?
So there's 2 parts of it. The main part is that it is a statistically valid survey.
Okay.
So we're working with ETC, a professional company that creates and sends out these surveys. They'll mail them out to people that they've identified in order for us to get that statistically valid sampling. And then if you receive it in the mail, you can either reply by mail or you can go online to answer those survey questions. We will be following up with phone calls just in order to get the response rate that we need. And then if you're not selected, you'll still have the chance to do that survey. It will be posted on our engagement website.
Okay. And then what are you looking for participation rate to make it valid?
I believe we will be sending it to 3,000 households with the hopes of getting 300 responses.
So 10%.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's a great way to do that. And then, like you said, that's just to get the statistical analysis of it, and then everybody can participate. Those would just go in kind of a different pool with their
we'll keep the answers separate. We still want to hear from anybody who wants to give us that feedback, but we want to make sure we've got our statistically valid results.
So once you guys finish that aspect of it, then you kind of getting into the stakeholder groups or that aspect of the plan?
Yeah, so there's a few things going on concurrently. That survey will be sent out here hopefully in a couple weeks. The next steps in that is our Confluence is going to be taking our stakeholder list that we've got, and we'll be meeting either one-on-one with individuals or in focus groups. And those are in areas that we've identified as important feedback that we need. And
with the plan, then kind of the ideas that your stakeholder group. So just backing up just a little bit. So who's all on like the stakeholder group? Like who did you try and identify to be part of that group?
Different areas that we've identified. Obviously, we're looking at our development people. Those will probably be our one-on-one discussions. But then we also want to talk to community health workers, people in education, both at the K through 12 level and then also our colleges here in town, looking at different nonprofits as well, and then different transportation groups, trying to get kind of a wide variety of perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. So when do you anticipate those meetings taking place? Like fourth quarter of this year, or would that be beginning of next year then?
That'll be taking place fourth quarter of this year. Yep.
And then you anticipate finishing those up, and then is that when then you get all that information, Confluence takes all that information and starts writing the plan, or
Yeah, exactly. We've also got our online engagement, which will be another piece to that. And then once we're done with this stage of the public engagement, then we'll be moving on to drafting the plan, and that will take place kind of over the winter, early spring.
And then so you get the plan drafted, and then is there going to be, I'm assuming, opportunity for public input or input on
Yes.
the draft plan, where maybe, hey, can we make some changes here, or can we add this or subtract that kind of?
Definitely. We don't have those dates or events lined up quite yet, but we anticipate doing more pop-ups this summer. There'll be at least one open house for the entire community to come take a look at the plan, and I would guess some more online engagement with that as well.
So how would somebody get involved with the 2050 Shape Sioux Falls Comprehensive Plan if they wanted to?
They could go to our website. From there, there's a landing page that would explain what the update is about. It would also list different in-person opportunities for people to get involved, but then you can go to our engagement website, and there are 4 activities currently on the website. 2 of them are surveys, one focused on visioning, one focused on emerging trends in planning. And then we have a mapping activity where you can drop a pin saying what you love, where something needs improvement. And then my favorite activity is our idea wall, or our Pinterest wall, where you'd post a picture or just kind of write out an idea that you have for the city in general.
And then, you know, after your draft plan is, I guess, final, I guess it's not completely final until you take it in front of, you know, the Planning Commission and City Council and get their approval or blessings of the plan.
Exactly.
And I think you guys also were able to do an informational meeting, was that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
To kind of give them an idea of the kickoff of it. And so then, will you come back then, you think, to do an informational, or just kind of do the final plan in front of the council, would you say?
I would guess that we'd be keeping them in contact throughout this entire process. And we do have planning commissioners as part of our advisory committee. So they'll be looking at the draft throughout different stages this winter as well.
Which is great. And I think it's really good to continue to keep the city council in part of that plan, just because it also gives people an idea of, hey, this is really important, and I don't know if people really understand how important this is. If you want to shape the community and you want to, you know, get to the things, this is the start of, hey, I want rezonings and conditional uses.
Exactly.
This is really where you have the most feedback as a resident of Sioux Falls. So.
Yeah, the comprehensive plan lays the foundation for these decisions that our elected officials are making at every single meeting.
And then I think one thing that's great with you guys working on the comprehensive plan and getting that done, then my team then can go in there and actually make some changes, or with the zoning ordinance, dependent on, you know, what comes out of the comprehensive plan and what the residents of Sioux Falls and the stakeholders want to see. There might be some major changes to the zoning ordinance, which is great.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the whole process of it, and that's what's awesome. So what would you say is, you're anticipating this to be approved by council fall of 2025, or?
Yeah, I think our goal right now is looking at September.
Yep.
Just kind of depending on what the process looks like over the next few months.
Well, I think it's been a great process, and like I said, it's been fun to get to participate in some of it. I know you guys are doing the heavy lifting, really trying to get all the stakeholders together and doing a lot of stuff in-house. Confluence obviously is a good partner and been really good at helping you with that, but you guys do a lot of stuff in-house, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that.
It's been a really fun project to be a part of, and it's been really fun to see the community be a part of it as well.
Yeah, so we'll probably have to have you back on here maybe next spring, summer, when you get to like that draft, and you can talk to us a little bit about what some major changes were, some of the big bullet points that came out of all the engagement and all the stakeholder meetings. So I'm excited. Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Maria. We'll have to have you back, like I said, in 2025. So
thanks, Jason.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Sioux Falls, for planning preview for the month of October. The meeting this month is on October 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Carnegie Town Hall. And as always, there's public input allowed at any of the things we talked about on the agenda. And also there is the 5-minute public comment period at the end of the agenda when you can talk anything public related. Thanks, Sioux Falls, and have a great day.